A day in the life of a normal person in the Old West. Forget cowboys and outlaws, most people in the Wild West were farmers, ranchers, or settlers. Life was less about gunfights and more about survival. The day started before sunrise. People woke up to the smell of wood smoke and livestock. Water had to be hauled by hand from a well or river. Breakfast was simple: biscuits, bacon, and coffee. Before eating, chores began: milking cows, feeding chickens, chopping firewood. Work never stopped. Men worked the fields, repaired wagons, or tended herds. Women cooked, cleaned, and cared for children. Laundry day meant boiling water and scrubbing by hand. Children helped, collecting eggs, herding animals, and hauling water. Dinner might be stew or beans, cooked over an open hearth. Families read from the Bible or listen to fiddle tunes. With no electricity, most went to bed by firelight soon after dark. It was a hard, dusty, and demanding life, but one built on community and endurance. The people of the Old West didn't just survive, they built the foundations of modern America. 2. How people in the Old West stayed clean or didn't. When you picture the Old West, you might imagine dusty cowboys and grimy miners, and honestly, that's not far off. Hygiene was creative. Most people bathed once a week, sometimes less. Bathhouses were rare outside towns, so folks used basins or rivers. Water was precious in the dry West. Shared baths were common, oldest to youngest. Soap was homemade from animal fat and lye. It worked, but it burned. Toothbrushes were often chewed twigs. And toothpaste? Crushed charcoal or baking soda. Washing clothes was an all-day job. Water hauling, scrubbing, wringing, and drying. Women spent hours beating laundry on rocks or with washboards. Most folks just accepted that everyone smelled a little earthy. Perfumes, colognes, and herbs helped mask odors. So yes, people in the Old West got dirty, but when water was scarce and the land was wild, being clean enough was good enough. 3. What did people eat in the Old West? Food in the Wild West wasn't about flavor, it was about fuel. Every calorie mattered. Breakfast, bacon, biscuits, coffee. Lunch, dried beef, beans, or bread. Dinner, stew or salted meat with whatever vegetables they could grow. No refrigeration meant salting, smoking, or drying meat. Hardtack, a rock-hard cracker, could last for months. Coffee was a luxury. Sugar and spices were rare. On cattle drives, cooks ran chuck wagons. They made everything in cast iron pots over open flames. Beans, biscuits, and gravy. Cooks were as respected as trail bosses. A bad cook could ruin morale. Pioneers learned to cook with what they had. Sometimes prairie dog or rattlesnake ended up on the menu. Wild berries and roots helped stretch rations. They didn't eat fancy, but they ate to live, and somehow a pot of beans by the fire always tasted like home. 4. How people relaxed and had fun in the Old West. Even in the harsh frontier, people knew how to have fun. Entertainment was simple, but it brought entire towns together. Card games, whiskey, dancing, and piano music filled the night. Games like faro and poker were the favorites, sometimes leading to brawls. Barn dances, quilting bees, and church picnics were big community events. Traveling entertainers, magicians, and medicine shows were rare but exciting. Fiddles, harmonicas, and guitars provided the soundtrack of frontier nights. Families told tall tales, legends, and ghost stories by lantern light. Kids played marbles, tag, and stick horses, or made toys from corn cobs and cloth scraps. In the end, their fun was simple but heartfelt, a reminder that even in the roughest times, people found joy wherever they could. 5. Homes of the Wild West. Life inside a frontier cabin. Forget mansions. Most homes in the Old West were smaller than a modern bedroom. Log cabins in forests, sod houses on the plains, adobe in the Southwest. Every home was hand-built, often by the family that lived in it. One room, one fireplace, and one bed for everyone. Furniture was homemade. Walls were lined with newspaper for insulation. constant sweeping, patching leaks, and hauling water. Winters were brutal. Families often slept together for warmth. Neighbors were miles apart but always helped each other. House raisings and barn dances turned work into celebration. Frontier homes were humble, but they symbolized something powerful. A place carved out of wilderness, built by sheer determination. 6. The harsh realities of living in the Wild West. Hollywood makes the West look exciting, but for most people, it was a daily fight to stay alive. Disease, wild animals, and weather killed more people than gunfights. Medical help was scarce. Infections, childbirth, and injuries were deadly. Frontier families often went weeks without seeing neighbors. Loneliness and mental strain were real struggles. Droughts, floods, blizzards, and locust swarms could wipe out crops overnight. With few lawmen, justice was often local and fast. Vigilante groups handled disputes before courts ever arrived. Despite the odds, people kept pushing westward, driven by hope, opportunity, or sheer stubbornness. Life in the Wild West was raw and unforgiving, but those who survived it helped forge the American spirit of resilience and grit.